Let me give you two recent examples right out of the headlines. Take a look at the Republic of Georgia, which last week declared emergency rule. The Georgian military has been highly subsidized by the United States. Now, Georgia isn't an oil producer itself, but is the main supply route for the BTC pipeline. I'm going to talk more about the BTC pipeline, the Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan pipeline, which was built with U.S. support from the very beginning to carry oil from Azerbaijan through Georgia to Turkey and through the Mediterranean. This is essentially an American project to create an alternative oil supply route from the Caspian Sea to the United States and Europe, bypassing Europe and Iran. And the Georgian military, which is responsible for protecting the BTC pipeline, was heavily trained and equipped for all kinds of internal security purposes by the United States. And of course, we saw just last week a brutal crackdown on opposition forces by the Georgian military. And my guess is, I can't swear to this, that these were the forces that were trained and equipped by the United States. Likewise, in Burma, Burma has been the recipient, one of the leading recipients of Chinese arms, infantry and small arms. Burma is a natural gas producer. It's been favored by China. Whether or not the forces involved in the crackdown on the Buddhists were the ones specifically aimed by China, I can't say, but Burma has been a leading recipient of Chinese arms supplies. So you see a pattern in all of these places, as I said, in Nigeria as well, of governments that have been favored by the US and China for military support that are increasingly relying on military force to suppress internal political dissent. This is bad enough, but there's an even worse scenario that worries me. That the United States and China will become directly involved in military conflict, either separately or together. The United States, of course, has used military force to protect its access to oil in line with the Carter Doctrine, which I mentioned earlier on a number of occasions. The Carter Doctrine is this policy that the flow of oil from the Persian Gulf is a vital security interest of the United States and will use force whenever needed to ensure the safety of that flow. This was first cited by President Bush Sr. in 1990 when Iraq invaded Kuwait and appeared to pose a threat to Saudi Arabia. President Bush said, we cannot allow Iraq to threaten Saudi Arabia in the flow of oil. We're going to intervene massively and drive the Iraqis out of Kuwait. This led to the first Persian Gulf War of 1990-91. When that ended, rather than invade Iraq and get rid of Saddam Hussein through direct attack, President Bush chose to surround Iraq, quarantine Iraq, and bring about regime change through economic warfare. That effort was then kept up by President Clinton, always with the intention of squeezing Iraq to the point of bringing about an internal revolt that would bring down Saddam Hussein. The intention was always regime change. That project failed, and I think set this stage for the decision by President Bush Jr. to invade Iraq in March 2003. All of these, I think, are part of one continuous policy that started in 1990. So there's a continuous history of using force in line with the Carter Doctrine. Now, I said earlier that the next in line is Iran. and we had a good laugh at my expense. I do believe that the chances of an attack on Iran, the next major threat to American domination of the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz, through which oil flows to the United States and other major oil consumers, that there's more than a 50% likelihood that this will occur before President Bush leaves office. I won't say more about that now. If you want to question me about why I think that's so, please do so in the discussion period. But certainly there's good reason to think that this is a very real possibility. What I want to talk about now and finish this first half of my presentation is the danger that we'll have not just unilateral military intervention, but that we can see a point down the road where not only the United States, but the United States and China could come at some point in the future to a conflict with one another. Now, mind you, when I say this, I don't think this would ever occur intentionally. I do not think that the United States and China would ever choose to go to war over oil. So please don't think that I'm saying this. What I do see is that both are on a trajectory of increased military involvement in 3 areas of the world: Africa, the Persian Gulf area, and the Caspian Sea, Central Asia area. They are both increasing their military assistance and arms transfers in those areas. They are both increasing their military ties with local countries in those areas. They